Hello fellow freaks, geeks, and normies. Today is Thursday, April 18th, and this is Grade the Gaming News. Links to all the stories will be in the description below, and if you're new here, feel free to like and subscribe. Now, let's get into the news. Let's start with the Nintendo Showcase Indie World, which happened yesterday morning. So I don't think that this one was for me. It looked like it was geared toward, people not born before the year 2000. So that's perfectly fine. It's kind of within the wheelhouse of Nintendo anyway. So what did I find exciting about it? Well, not very much, obviously, like I mentioned. But here are a few games that caught my eye. First game up, Refine Self. It's the personality test game. Seems like a pretty unique idea, but I'm wondering about the replayability and the length of the game. Anton Blast. I actually watched a interview with the director on, it was like Future Games Fest. I forgot. Anyway, so I watched that. The director seems like a super chill guy, super cool. And that game looks like just frantic fun. So the next one is TMNT Splintered Fate. Looks fine. It kind of just looks like a mobile game, but I think it will just be like good fun. Then we have, I guess that's it. Nothing else after that. I'm going to give this one a C. This whole indie world gets a C from me. Not only were the games a little bit meh for me, but the script was kind of corny. Like, how many times do they have to do the alliteration thing? But going to the Steam World Heist 2 one, they said things like nautical nightmare and bullets bounce and blast baddies or blast bots to bits. And in the On-Town Blast one, they had like wacky worlds to waste. Like, can we just stop? Can we just stop that? I'm gonna have a mental meltdown. So now we'll just move on to Xbox. This one comes from news.xbox.com. It's just an update with the games that they are releasing for April on Xbox Game Pass. But here are some standouts that are releasing on Game Pass this month. There's Harold Halibut, which is that claymation style game where everything is literally actually made out of clay and they digitally scan it and then implement it into the game. And because of this, I think obviously it has a very unique art style, but I hope that the gameplay and story keep you hooked just as much as the visual style keeps you hooked. Based on some reviews and hearing some mixed stuff, but we'll see what else what other people have to say about it. Next, we have Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. This seems like an interesting 2.5D JRPG. As it states in this title, it has over 100 plus heroes, which to me sounds a bit gimmicky, but I mean, who knows? We'll see what happens. It's a day one release on Game Pass, so download it if you're interested in any JRPGs. Then we have Another Crab's Treasure, which was on Steam's Next Fest last year, and it looked kind of fun. It looks like you can change shells out, which give you different powers. So each shell has its own little unique ability, kind of like the Ashes of War in Elden Ring. So I don't know if that's where they got it from, but it seems pretty cool. It seems like an okay time. Again, this is a day one release on Game Pass, so no reason not to try it out. And then last but not least, core members will get access to some bangers like Deep Rock Galactic and Super Hot Mind Control Delete. To me, this is a B. Without really knowing how these games are, or at least most of them are, I can only go up to a B on this. You got a walking sim, a Souls-like, a JRPG. I mean, seems like a pretty healthy mix. I guess we'll have to see how people rate these games as they release. This next one comes from The Verge. Sony wants a 60 FPS PS5 Pro enhanced version of games, but they're okay settling with less. Sony's basically asking developers to update their games to allow for a 60 FPS in 4K resolution with ray tracing game. Whether or not that's going to happen, we don't know. It's going to use their proprietary upscaling thing called PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, or PSSR, to upscale things to 4K with FPS upgrade to 60 and with ray tracing. Again, that's a big ask. There's a lot of games right now on PC with really good graphics cards that aren't able to do that. So who's to say that a developer is going to go back into the game and allow that to happen for their game? Don't see very many developers taking advantage of this. But when they say they're okay settling for less, what they mean is they're okay with doing something more with Sony's new thing called Ultra Boost. So what is Ultra Boost? Sony says it's a mode that will help VRR modes run at a higher frame rate so long as the devs patch their games to the latest software dev kits. I'm not a dev, so I don't know how this is all going to shake out. I don't know how much work it is to patch your games to run in Ultra Boost mode or to get it to this new 60 FPS ray tracing 4K upscaling thing using PSSR. Just a lot of stuff. It sounds like a lot. So to me, this gets a C. I mean, yeah, again, who's going to utilize it? I don't know who this is really for. I think games look perfectly fine as they are on PlayStation 5 right now. So again, don't know who this is for and who even really cares about this extra PS5 Pro enhanced sticker thing that they're going to label on their new games. I mean, I guess you can say that more options are better. So I guess I can see how this could appeal to a certain, if not small, crowd. Moving on to some PC news. This goes into the handheld PC news. GamersNexus rips the MSI Claw a new one. So the link to the GamersNexus MSI Claw review is in the description, but here are some few key takeaways that I got from that video. It's the heaviest handheld PC that's on the market. It has squishy bumpers. The marketing material uses words that basically say a lot of nothing. Kind of like the Invigoron thing from It's So Sunny if you watch that.
Does the sophisticated business model of an
MSI Claw.
confuse you? You don't need to understand how
MSI Claw
it works because somebody above you does. So ask less questions and make more money. There we go.
It's unintuitive in getting into its actual BIOS menu to try and fix some of the things that are wrong when you initially turn on and initialize the system. The battery life is usually on the bottom of the barrel when compared to its competitors like the Legion Go and the Steam Deck. Although the data shows on the GamersNexus video that it gets better frames, it also has the most egregious frame drops. When I say it's usually better in frames consistently, what they are saying is that it's usually around like a 5-frame difference. And is that really worth the asking price? And yeah, this thing is more expensive than its competitors. So the too long didn't read, too long didn't listen thing of it is, to quote that review, at the very end of the video, he says, "There's no reason to settle for good enough when better is cheaper." That's really what it comes down to. So I give the GamersNexus video an A, but the MSI Claw a fat F. A big ol' F. All right, time for some esports. We're going to start with the Overwatch Champions Series. This is the final weekend of groups, and the qualifiers of this go on to the main event that's happening next week. The winner of the main event will get enough points to get into the DreamHack Dallas, which is happening in late May, early June. If it sounds like it's kind of confusing, it's because it is. I don't even want to try and explain it. Next up, we got the VALORANT Champions Tour. We are, again, still in groups on this one as well. This is week 3 out of 5 of this. They're live probably like right now. They have broadcasts for each region, and the regions are all over the world. So click on one or all of the streams below and you'll probably find something that's on and live right now. This group stage is to see who qualifies for VCT Master Shanghai, which takes place late May into early June. Next up, we got the Tekken World Tour Electric Clash 2024. And while there have been a couple of smaller events for the Tekken World Tour, this is the first big-ish sort of tournament for Tekken 8. And to me, acts as the official kickoff for the Tekken World Tour 2024. The winner of this gets 300 points for the Tekken World Tour finals, and they will be held in usually February or January. They've been pushing it back month by month. That used to take place in November, December, pre-COVID. So we'll see when it will take place this year. And to kind of put it in perspective, the whole 300 points thing, you can take a look at this chart that is up on the screen right now to show how many points are allotted to different tournaments. So Evo is obviously the biggest one. That's going to be giving people 800 points for first place. And that's for both Evo in the US and Evo Japan, which is happening, I believe, next week. Then we have the smaller events. This is what we call a challenger event. which again allots the first place player 300 points for the Tekken World Tour. And last but not least, the last esport I'm covering this week or watching is going to be the Mortal Kombat Pro Competition 2023 to 2024. These are the regional finals for Europe East, West, Middle East, and the Oceanic region. All of these tournaments will be streamed on the NetherRealm Twitch channel, which can be found in the description below. So I'm going to give this week's esports a C. It's better than last week for sure, but we're still running through groups in Overwatch and in VALORANT. And we have a sort of big tournament in Tekken, but it's not going to be a big tournament. Not everyone's going to be playing in this, like in an Evo or something. And we do have some finals for the Mortal Kombat Pro Combat Tour Competition, whatever they want to call it. But both are still kind of technically qualifying events for the big circuit tournaments that are happening at the end of their respective years. All right, so let's just get into some general news. We'll start with the Hades 2 technical test announcement. They announced it a few days ago, and it looks like they are starting to roll out some codes for some people. I have yet to receive a code, but that's okay. I think I'll get it. Maybe after they see this video, they're just going to give me a code. Anyway, the devs did a few runs of the technical test on stream yesterday. So if you're interested in how the game plays or any new things about it, you can go ahead and check out that live stream on the Super Giant Games YouTube channel. And honestly, it just looks like so much damn fun. Like, I was in love. I adored the first one. And if it's anything, even if it's just like more abilities or just a slightly different story, like, I am totally down to sink another 50 plus hours into a game like this. Their announcement of the technical test gets an A from me, even though they haven't given me a code yet. They probably just don't want a gaming god like myself to get into it and just totally destroy the game, which I totally understand. Next up, we got Ubisoft being Ubisoft, locking some Jabba the Hutt missions behind a paywall. Super awesome. So this news comes from PC Gamer. Basically, they said that you can interact with Jabba and he'll be in the main game, giving you main quests throughout the game as well. But there are going to be optional quests that are only available through the deluxe version or ultimate edition or whatever they want to call it. And these are optional and will not affect the story. Honestly, to me, there's just like, I could not give any two shits about this, in the sense that I will never give them that sort of money if they are going to be doing something like this. There's just too many other games to play right now. Like, 2023 was an awesome year for gaming, and I have not touched like half of those Game of the Year candidates. So I may as well just go back and play something like that if I wanted to, right? As stated in my disappointments video earlier this year, I said that this game was going to disappoint you. I didn't know they were going to disappoint you in this way. Like, just look at the chart right there. They are asking you to invest a lot of money in an unproven product, hoping that you just say, ooh, Star Wars, yeah, let's give them $120 or whatever it is. Like, I don't know how the game's going to play. I don't know if it's going to perform well. Like, perform well as in, like, is my system going to be able to hold a constant frame rate? Is my PC going to be able to run it properly? All those sorts of things. Like, I feel like I have to make a microtransactions video in the near future because, like, I don't know how you spend your money, but to lock something behind a single player game and it's ready right at launch, and you're just going to say, no, pay extra to get the mission, is kind of scummy. This story gets a D from me. Next up, it is claimed that Persona 1 and 2 are going to be getting a remake in the near future. This is claimed by Midori on Twitter. I don't know how either of these games played originally back in the day, but I can almost say that it is not streamlined for the current gamer. So if this is true, then I hope that they do go back into the game, but keep the original feel, but also give it some quality of life changes, much like what they did with the Persona 3 Reload. And since this has to do with gaming preservation, I will give it an A. I mean, it's a step in the right direction for the series. Persona 3 Reload got a really good reception, so hopefully with these two games, if it is true that these are getting a remake, that they get the same sort of treatment and respect that they deserve. All right, next up we have a story from PC Games N. Lawbreakers fans revive the servers. If you didn't know, this also happened a couple weeks ago with the Gundam Evolution community, where a passionate fan made servers for the game so that it's actually playable still. Again, sticking with gaming preservation, I'm glad that there's a dedicated fan base that wants these games to work, right? And that they want to keep these games alive. I hope the servers stay alive for years to come as well. But what I think would be a better solution in the long run would be to give you the option to play against computers, much like in the PlayStation 2 days. I remember when I was a younger lad, I would turn on Unreal Tournament and just play against computers all day. Like, it didn't matter that I was being competitive against somebody else or had my brother or sisters play with me or anything like that. It was just me and the computers, and I was trying to find some cool things to do. It was just so that I could just play the game. I wanted to play the game. So if they can make a version of this game where it is essentially like a single player sort of, go through each map and play against some computers, that'd be pretty awesome. Obviously, that's probably going to take a lot more work, but I think that would probably be the better solution to keep these games preserved, so you're not having to find a group of people to play with. This story for me gets an A, again, just because it's gaming preservation, and we need to keep this up. All right, and just a couple more for you. IGN Japan had an exclusive interview with Yoko Taro, who is the game director for Nier Automata, and the Stellar Blade director, Hyung Kim. I absolutely adore Nier Automata. So if Yoko Taro is saying that Stellar Blade is so good that it makes him jealous that he didn't make a game like that, then I am all in on Stellar Blade. I wasn't hyped for the game before, but because he said that, I'm actually now hyped for Stellar Blade. I haven't even played the demo yet, and I feel like I have to now. The link to that interview is going to be in the description below. And this to me is an easy A. So this next one is kind of funny. This one comes from PC Gamer. The writer, Christopher Livingston, had played through the Frostpunk 2 demo with the goal of not using any child labor, because that was a way that he was able to survive in Frostpunk 1. But because he avoided child labor, those kids ended up going feral and being murderous kids on the streets. This is so fucking funny to me, and I don't know why. But imagine like you played the first one and the only way you survived was through child labor. So this time around, you're like, you know what? I want to do completely away with that. I'm not going to use any child labor at all. And then you start to see your population dwindle, and it's not because of the severe weather. And so you zoom in, and then all of a sudden you just realize that there's some little turd just like shanking people on the streets, killing off hardworking people just for fun. That's absolutely insane to me. It's crazy that this game even thinks of doing something like that. And obviously it probably had to do with the decisions leading up to that point that made these kids go feral and murderous or whatever. But to even have that as an option is absolutely insane to me. Again, another easy A. And that just about does it for Grade the Gaming news this week. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. If not, go ahead and give it a downvote. No hard feelings. Let me know what grades you gave the news stories this week, and if you agree with me or not. What did you think about the indie world that just happened for Nintendo? Will you be picking up PlayStation 5 Pro? Do you think Ubisoft is being a little bit too greedy with their microtransactional practices? Are you even more hyped about Stellar Blade now that Yoko Taro gives it his praise? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.